Hi, this is Ed and welcome to the Outer Dark. Did the CIA just find themselves in a honey box or a honey trap in a work of what seems like grand strategy? Because with the recent Wikileaks release for, as they say, their upcoming Vault 7, it kind of looks like that. But what do I mean? Well, stay tuned as the Outer Dark brings you 10 strange things about General Flynn's resignation. Number 10. First, some context. Let's just go back before the actual inauguration and look at the chain of events, at least within a historical context. This all starts with General Flynn Jr., that is General Flynn's son, who tweeted that people should not dismiss Pizzagate, basically without an investigation. This was after his father, General Flynn, who would be appointed as Trump's national security advisor, tweeted this about Hillary Clinton, something that's largely seen as a support for Pizzagate research and the current Keep Pizzagate hypothesis. It would seem that now the entire Clinton establishment goes after General Flynn's son and has him removed from the Trump's transition team. Trump seems to cave under the political pressure at this time, and for the first time shows he will cave, or so it would seem, under such pressure. Next, the entire Clinton establishment goes after General Flynn himself, and Obama's CIA jumps on board to go after General Flynn. Or what researchers are saying is the CIA against Donald Trump. Now here is where it gets interesting, and this all starts to make, well, kind of sense. Number 9. The fact that General Flynn seemingly did not report his meeting with the Russian ambassador, which he was fired for or resigned for, is leaked by the intelligence community. Of course, this only happened a week or so ago. General Flynn quickly resigns. Donald Trump seems to show weakness again at this point, and Hillary Clinton retweets this cryptic tweet, an allusion, it would seem, to Pizzagate. At least the pizza parlor at the heart of Pizzagate was the seed for such research, namely Comet Pizza. Number 8. A massive blow at this point seems to be taken by people waiting for high-level takedowns, since General Flynn was highly regarded as a proponent of Pizzagate. Now at this point, for the first time really on a massive scale, we see a rogue intelligence community go against the national security advisor for Donald Trump, the President of the United States. In effect, we see a rogue unit within the actual government itself to undermine a sitting US president and their own, in fact, boss, General Flynn. Something which has been seen, at least worldwide, to even those on the left, as something that has large and scrolling ominous implications behind it, because it shows that the CIA, or likewise intelligence agency that collected these phone calls and leaked them, were doing them against the current administration, a type of inner coup, if you like. So now you understand the chain of events, let's have a look at something else. I'll come back to this in fact a bit later, but until then it's important to outline something regarding Donald Trump. Number 7. Take when his wife was called for plagiarism, in fact of Michelle Obama's own speech. This happened after the Republican primary win for Donald Trump and was seen as a large embarrassment. I'm just outlining this to show you that sometimes who stands to gain isn't who you think stands to gain, especially when it comes to Donald Trump. So think about this speech for a moment and how embarrassed that actual Trump's wife was for reading Michelle Obama's speech, and also think about one other thing, that is how the whole entire mainstream media attacked her, and what this looked like, at least in the psychological minds of everyone watching. Donald Trump's wife, in fact, has been publicly ridiculed on a level that is seldom seen. Now, how does this relate to General Flynn? Well, number 6. Think about what happened then. What did Donald Trump do when his wife was publicly ridiculed? Well, he did not apologize for his wife. In fact, he said that she did nothing wrong and he stood directly beside her. In fact, overall, it made him look like he would support his wife no matter what, when the entire mainstream media was attacking his wife. And who was Trump's base at the time that he had a problem with? That's right, women. And what is the psychological effect of this on women? The effect being of a man that stands up for his wife at all costs, even though in this case she seemed to have directly copied the speech. What is the effect of a man standing up against a massive media campaign which turned from criticism into actual bullying of his wife? Think about the psychological effects of this and how they differ from the critical mainstream aspects of it, that is critically analyzing what seemed like plagiarism. then turned into bullying. And what did Donald Trump do? Well, he stood up against the bullying and protected his wife, and never once did he stop doing that. What kind of effect do you reckon that had in the eyes of at least women voters? Does that make Donald Trump more appealing to women voters, or does it make him less appealing? Because remember, in this context, it was his wife that was being targeted by cyberbullying, and in fact, he was not even the target here. And look at one more curious detail, and that is prior to the speech, Donald Trump was being widely accused of bullying individuals. After the speech, he was no longer accused of bullying again. Now, the psychology of how the human mind works on a subliminal level is complex, no doubt, so this could be a case of seeing patterns where there are none. You decide for yourself. But let's have a look at another example where Donald Trump, in the end, stood to gain. Number 5. Think about the recent 7-country ban, and how after mass mobilization and attacks by the far left, it would seem that this was overturned and Donald Trump was stopped from completing his 7-country ban. But just sit back for a moment and ask yourself, he was publicly ridiculed at the time, but then who stood to gain? Because now Donald Trump is in fact immune from any terrorist attack that happens within the United States, at least from the criticism, from now until the end of his presidency. Because now he can always point to the fact that the Democrats stopped him from his 7-country ban. Just think about that for a moment. Because if you look at Donald Trump's entire campaign, every time it seems something goes wrong with him, if you take a few more steps down the line and look back in hindsight, Donald Trump seems in every scenario to gain directly from the very event that seemed to weaken him. But what does this have to do with General Flynn? Well, number 4, General Flynn resigns. And now look at this with new eyes, because who stands to gain from this? Well, if you stand back and you note one thing that no one really saw coming, at the time it was coming, at least apart from Wikileaks, who just leaked today, in fact, the fact that the CIA has been directly involved in tampering with French elections of an ally to the United States. So only a week after General Flynn is taken down by the CIA or NSA, in fact now we see the CIA is rogue again, this time not against a single administration, but in fact a country itself, something that is a complete mind blow. Now I know that's probably not a mind blow for watchers of my channel, but it is in fact a mind blow to be put into the public arena like this, because now this is the first time that a lot of people will see this actual effect in direct documents of the CIA being behind it, an overthrow of a world leader who is an ally of the United States. But there is something else very interesting happening here, because remember who took down General Flynn, well at least who it seems did. It was the intelligence community via leaks. So who stands to gain now? Well, in a strange way we might find in the coming weeks that in fact that's Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is free to do what now? Well, information can leak from his own intelligence sources within the intelligence community themselves, and what can the CIA or NSA do now? Well, they can't do nothing, because they use the same information, the same methodology to take down Donald Trump's own national security advisor. Donald Trump has in fact opened the one door that could take down the entire CIA faction itself and NSA. Think about that for a moment. He can actually put out files that name names now, name names directly from someone that just resigned. General Flynn in fact had been in the position long enough to prepare massive dossiers on everyone. Just have a think about that for a moment and think of the gravity of what's going on here. Donald Trump in fact now has immunity at using the intelligence agency's own leaks against them. Number 4. Now something else actually happened here which is significant. When Wikileaks released this information today, they had a letter which directly implied that Vault 7 had to do with yet more leaks within the CIA, at least more documents. So think about that for a moment. Wikileaks seems to have this gun loaded and ready for the direct resignation of General Flynn. Its guns were ready, it was primed, and it was ready for exactly the right timing after a week of people reflecting on what actually happened with General Flynn. The CIA and NSA, at least the rogue factions within it, taking him down, that they have a gun ready and pointed at the CIA itself, promising in fact as well as more bombshells to come. So ask yourself, when General Flynn resigned and his son leaving, did Trump really cave cave into pressure, or did he let it happen in order to show weaknesses so he could direct the line of attack of his own enemy at targets and then use those targets against his enemy? Now you might say this is just wild speculation, you're giving Trump more credit. Well, let's just step back and have a look at Trump for a moment. He's a billionaire that survived in the ruthless market of real estate and business around the world for decades. He's also a massive public figure, and he won the presidential election when he had the entire deep state against him, the Clinton establishment, President Obama campaigning for Hillary Clinton, the entire mainstream media, attacks from the DNC and Republican Party, as well as everywhere you can imagine. And he still won? Well, you have to ask yourself, is he different than we actually think he is? Because how can someone survive against such slim odds and become president? Was it all just a coincidence? Or is Donald Trump a lot different internally than we actually know? Because there's an elephant in the room here, and that's the fact that General Flynn just resigned, and you would expect Trump to actually have come out publicly and say, well, CNN's fake news, etc., etc. Of course General Flynn was supposed to talk to the Russian ambassador. He's supposed to build up relationships with Russia. Is relationships with Russia such a bad thing, etc., etc.? But he didn't do any of this. In fact, General Flynn just left, and Donald Trump said, well, General Flynn's a good man, etc. So you have to ask yourself, what's going on here? Why is Donald Trump caving so easily? Unless, of course, he's taking the blanket away from the cave in order to trap the monster itself. But what other examples of this are there? Well, think about what the Clinton establishment is closely related to in regards to General Flynn, as well as current research. That's right, Pizzagate. And look at the number of arrests within child trafficking, at least within the last 3 weeks of the Donald Trump administration. In fact, as Reddit users collated, there's been more arrests under Donald Trump's 3 weeks in office as they were in a whole entire year of the Obama administration. So what do you do if you want to take down something like Pizzagate and the intelligence agencies are infested with actual pizza dust? Well, you take down the complementary assets first around the network. Then you go in and you attack the actual foundations of the network itself. So I think after we see more arrests on the scale that we've been seeing now, and they start to dry up, you'll see some major arrests happen. Now here it's important to entertain one other perspective, and of course there are many perspectives here, and that's that in fact this is just what it looks like, in which case Trump has been weakened significantly now, and the coup d'etat against him is currently still in progress. Now you don't have to be a Trump supporter or anything to see the gravity of this situation. I mean, you don't even have to like Donald Trump, but you can see that there seems to be some factionary war system here happening within the heights of the US government itself. Indeed, it seems to be cannibalizing itself. The only question is which side will turn out to win. Anyway, go out and do your own research and of course decide for yourselves. This is just high speculation here. And well, let me know what you think in the comment section, and please do give the video a thumbs up if you did like it. And this is Ed from the Outer Dark, and I'll see you guys later.